So just as a joke, wouldn't it be funny if the lead actress for one of these Strangers films was actually named Tamara? Just for something new. What is going on, everyone, and welcome to my review of The Strangers Chapter 1. Now, this one was a roll of a dice for me, because on one hand, I do not enjoy the original Strangers film at all. Didn't mind Prey at Night, but still not really all that great. But Renny Harlin is a director that I admire. I enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and I really like Deep Blue Sea. So it was kind of just like 50-50 chance for me. Now, this film is a planned trilogy, well, like an already filmed trilogy, I actually believe, which is really bizarre because I don't know how they're going to get people to buy tickets to chapters 2 and 3 when you start off like this. But it's a planned trilogy, and it was framed in the trailers as a prequel film. It said, like, the tagline was like, "See how the strangers begin," or something like that. And it was like, okay. But then you watch the film, and it's... I think it's a remake. I'm not sure what this is. Like, it's very... Like, the masks... Two of the masks are the same, one of them's a bit different. I have no clue what this movie is. So, the setup of this film, you have this young couple that are travelling across the country, and they're on the freeway, and they decide that they're a little bit hungry. So, you know, what do? They pull off the freeway, go to this town that's like 20 miles off the beaten path, and go to this diner, which any sane person would go to this town, see this diner that looks like a slaughterhouse, and just think, no, let's just keep going for a little bit more and find somewhere along the way. But no, they get out of the car because they're hungry. They have all the weird locals staring at them. They have like these two weird redneck hillbilly mechanics just staring at them. They have these Mormon kids approaching them like they did in the original film. They have everyone in the diner, everyone looks up at them when they walk in and starts eavesdropping in their conversation and starts talking shit to them and yapping away like they know each other. And then all of a sudden, they come back out of the diner after having their food, and their new car mysteriously won't start. And then you have the creepy bloody mechanic guy that was staring at them the whole time, just knocking on their window. Car trouble. And then he gives them every fucking excuse that he can rip out of his ass and says, basically, I can't fix it today. The shop's closed. There's nothing that I can do about it. Absolutely nothing, even though the car was fine just 2 seconds prior. So you're going to have to leave it with us, and you're going to have to stay somewhere. So the guy goes, the main character goes, okay, we'll stay at the hotel. Hotel's closed. Why? I don't know, but it's closed. So then they have to go stay at this Airbnb, which they just have to take their word that it's an Airbnb. They're basically just like, yep, there's an Airbnb out here. And then one of the weird diner people drives them to the Airbnb. And then once they're there, they start getting stalked by 3 people in masks. So before I shred this movie a second arsehole, I will say that there was a scene that was well directed. There's one part underneath the floorboards which was kind of tense because they have to be quiet so they don't alert the strangers of where their location is. That part got me a little bit mildly tense and engaged. Other than that, there's next to nothing good about this. So aside from that setup and just avoiding all of the red flags, I was like, okay, look, this is just to get them into the situation. The characters in the previous 2 Stranger films were dumb, so let's just hope that this is different. No. In fact, they are worse than the characters in the original Strangers and the Strangers Prey at Night. They are so stupid. Like, they're basically suicidal. I mean, I'm seriously thinking that if these 2 people didn't want to purposely walk into a bear trap and have their fucking legs trapped while they get repeatedly bashed over the head and killed, then I don't know what they're doing. Because this film might overtake Speak No Evil as having the stupidest and most infuriating characters I've ever seen in a film. So repeatedly, they're being stalked and knocking on the door and asking if Tamara's home, which just like, that's super weird, and it happens again and again and again and again and again, and there's banging on the doors, and then she's like putting her ear up to the door and she thinks it's her boyfriend because he went to get his inhaler that he left in his car, which for some reason they have a fully functioning motorcycle with the keys there. I don't know why, because it's set up as though this whole thing's a trap, so why would they leave an actual working vehicle there for them? It's just like, what? And then the main chick hears Dollface talking or singing to herself, just doesn't really care, and then she goes and sits down and plays the piano. And then, seriously, I shit you not, Baghead is sitting behind her, and then she hears footsteps upstairs. And seriously, this recreation of this scene that I'm about to present to you right now is borderline exactly what happens in this film. Of the heart. So she's heard people singing, people stomping around, people banging the doors down repeatedly and standing on their property. Doesn't give a fuck. And then when the boyfriend finally gets home from getting his inhaler, he immediately just disregards everything she says and says, oh, it just must have been that painting there. No, you saw the people banging at the door repeatedly before you went to get your inhaler. Are you not going to take her word that something's not right? You've seen every red flag in the book. And you're just like, yeah, it's a painting. That's what chased you around the fucking house. And even worse, even if she had the slightest will to live, and she's like, okay, there are people in the house, they are repeatedly banging on our doors, they are axing the doors down, I'm gonna call the police. Even if she thought, I'm gonna call the police and get help, like any rational person would, what does she do instead? She lights up a fucking joint. So now the police are out of action because, you know, at least I'm assuming in Oregon, marijuana's illegal. But even then, basically their one and only hope, just no go. Like, I can't even call this a review. I mean, I'm gonna call it a review in my title just because, but this is just me unloading because there is so much shit in this film. And I guess, kind of spoiler warning, I mean, I don't know how you can consider this film one where you'd be spoiled. There is a part in this film when the characters get access to a vehicle. A big car. And they're in it, they've got the keys, they turn it on, and all of a sudden, all the strangers are in another truck sitting like, you know, maybe 50 meters to their left. And what do? The strangers turn on the headlights and start up the car and sit there staring at them for about 10 seconds. What do our main characters do? Fucking put your foot down and drive. Don't sit there staring at... And not only that, they have a loaded shotgun in the car with them. Even worse, there is a part when the main guy puts a shotgun to Dollface's face and stands there fucking around for about 90 seconds. And then what does he do? He decides to pull out a really, really, really bad one-liner. You know how they say, the first kill is always your hardest? Yeah? Well, this is my second. And then Baghead comes in and tackles him. And also, if you're wondering what he's referring to by saying he's second, literally, just like the original Strangers film, someone comes up to the house, someone that's not the strangers, who doesn't decide to alert his presence whatsoever, so he just kind of sneaks up and starts knocking on the door. They go around the corner and shoot him in the fucking face. So they have zero will to live. Why does that bother me so much? Well, Because slasher films can be good when people are smart. That's what makes them scary, is when you're watching them and you're thinking they are doing everything that they possibly can to get out of this situation, but they are trapped. When it's something like this, and it takes itself dead serious, not a single joke or anything funny in the film, it's expecting you to buy into this bullshit, and you just don't. You just cannot, because you literally cannot be stupider and more... you can't dislike these characters any more than you already do. So if they get killed, boo fucking who. If they don't, I'm just wasting my time. I want them to be killed. This is the kind of film that gives horror films a bad name. You think back in 1996 when Scream came out. By then, even in the 1980s, the idea of horror characters being dumb was a stereotype and a cliche. And slashers can be well done. You think of Scream, that is a well-written film because it says, hey, what if the characters within the film understood all of the tropes and cliches and did everything that they could to avoid them? Doesn't fucking matter, they're gonna die anyway. That's why that film works so well. I could survive The Strangers Chapter 1. I wouldn't be stupid enough to get myself into the situation, and I would easily survive. Like, seriously, when you have a film from nearly 30 years ago that is a satire of films like this, you know you're doing something wrong. I'm serious when I tell you that this film is beat for beat for beat the original film, and only done worse. And I don't even like the original film. Seriously, you have this young couple. The only thing that's tweaked a little bit is in the original film, they were about to, like, the guy asked to marry Liv Tyler and she said no. In this one, the guy's planning to ask her and he hasn't asked her yet. So they're both planning to get married. But then, seriously, knock knock, is Tamra home? No. Repeated knock knock knock. Seriously, getting the old record player out and having a smoke. Exact same thing. Scenes when the strangers are appearing in like the hallway and just stand there and the characters have their back turned. Scenes when a guy comes who might be their only savior, but as I said, decides not to alert his presence at all and mistakenly gets killed. Scenes when they are in the car, in a working car that they can drive off and just go, but they choose not to. Scenes when they are tied up to a chair and they go, "Why are you doing this?" "Because you were home." Actually, sorry, no. It's not beat for beat the original film. It is beat for beat the original film with a scene from Prey at Night slapped in with the shotgun to the face when he decides not to shoot. There is no originality here. There is no good ideas. It is completely devoid of tension. It is completely devoid of any creativity. It is completely devoid of any character development or growth or even hints at character developments from the surviving protagonist. How the fuck is there a trilogy of films if they don't even have one single new idea in the first chapter? It beats me. Now look, if I have to be nice, I will say that there are worse movies that I've seen. It's not the worst movie I've seen. Doesn't make it good. Doesn't make it passable. Doesn't even make it bad. Because it's not bad. It's fucking horrendous. So overall, look, I was going to try and do a kind of review for this film, but I can't be objective when seriously it is this poor, this unoriginal, this uninspired, this dull, characters pulling out every single cliche in the book, and just has no good kills, no tension, and you'd may as well just watch the original film because it does it all better. And again, this is coming from someone that doesn't like the original film, so a remake of a film that you don't like. This is by far the worst film that I've seen in 2024, and I hope it doesn't get worse than this, but I won't be surprised if it does. The Strangers Chapter 1, I hate to say it, it's fucking terrible. So that was my review / rant. I know it's a bit unprofessional and I'd rather do something where I'm actually properly dissecting the films like I normally do. But this one was just too much. To say that this is a film where you can actually analyze it and discuss it and critique it responsibly and respectfully and maturely is giving this film way too much credit. So that's all I have for you today. Don't check out The Strangers Chapter 1 and just rewatch the original film. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Bye.